A forgotten record survives in the cracks of time. It speaks of a moment when Qin Mu stood beneath the world tree, facing the third and fourth young masters of Miluo Palace, while the fate of future civilizations hung by a thread. One wrong move could have ignited a war among Dao achievers, yet an unseen danger forced even the mighty Ling Xiao to retreat. Now, as the heavenly court gathers an overwhelming army, and eternal peace races to forge colossal weapons for the coming apocalypse, new mysteries begin to surface. Heavenly Venerate Ling vanishes into the distant past. Strange ruins emerge within the abandoned land of the ultimate void, and Qin Mu follows clues buried beneath countless destroyed epochs. In this chapter of Recap, Tales of Hurting Gods, chapters 1655 to 1659, the road leads beyond war and into the hidden history of the universe itself. What secret was buried in Heaven Capital? Who truly opened the Seventh Epoch? And why does the shadow of the Master of Miluo Palace loom over a forgotten tragedy that even time tried to erase? The answers await where chaos first split apart and heaven was born. What happens when the strongest men of the past try to reach into the future? And one man simply sits beneath a world tree and tells them, no? That is the tension at the heart of this chapter. This is not a battlefield of ordinary gods. This is a confrontation across ruined universes, inside the shadow of Miluo Palace, where Dao fruits hang like stars, ancient halls drift through chaos, and every decision can decide whether the 17th Epoch lives or is swallowed by history. The figure who appears beneath the world tree is Qin Mu, but not the youthful trickster many once underestimated. This Qin Mu carries the weight of time on his face. His hair has traces of age, his bearing has become steady, and his aura is so deeply rooted that even the destructive calamity rolling through the past cannot disturb him. And this image matters, because Qin Mu is not entering this scene as a challenger begging for recognition. He enters as someone who has already walked beyond the path his teacher once showed him. Before him stand the third and fourth young masters of Miluo Palace, Ling Xiao and Zi Xiao, two terrifying existences whose power is not merely personal cultivation, but the accumulation of entire cosmic systems. Ling Xiao, the third young master, is especially dangerous because his influence has echoed into the 17th Epoch itself. The heavenly court's Ling Xiao Palace, the symbolism of imperial authority, even the later cultivation realms that countless practitioners pursue, these all trace back to him. In other words, every person who climbs toward the Ling Xiao and Emperor's throne realms is unknowingly feeding his legacy. That is a frightening kind of power, not the power of one sword strike, not the power of one divine art, but the power of a system so deeply embedded in cultivation history that countless later cultivators become part of his foundation. This is why the third and fourth young masters look down on Qin Mu. To them, the seventh young master is still junior in rank, still lacking in accumulation, still standing too shallowly against ancient giants. But Qin Mu's response is the kind of quiet arrogance only a true heaven-defying cultivator can afford. He does not launch an attack. He does not shout. He does not try to prove himself with words. He sits. The Hall of Chaos rises from the river of chaos, and Qin Mu makes his position clear. Anyone who dares lend power to Heavenly Venerate, vast heaven will become his enemy. That one sentence freezes the Dao practitioners of Jade Capital. And this is where the chapter becomes more than a clash of strength. It becomes a clash of ideology. The third young master wants eternal order and lasting authority. The fourth young master wants to break the great calamity of destruction, not for ambition, but to find his lost wife. Qin Mu, however, stands for something broader and more human, the right of future beings to survive. That difference is crucial. In Shanxia, many great beings speak of saving the world, but often what they truly protect is their own Dao, their own power, their own obsession. Qin Mu's Dao heart is different. He is not fighting for a throne, nor for one private longing. He is fighting so that the people of a future epoch are not erased by ancient schemes. The third young master steps forward first. His Dao tree appears. 9 Dao fruits hang behind him, each representing terrifying accumulation, each one a sign that his cultivation is not something a normal god or emperor could even measure. He approaches Qin Mu with the confidence of a being who has shaped entire systems of power. Qin Mu keeps his eyes closed. That silence is the most dangerous part of the scene. the third young master strikes. His palm descends with enough force to shake the river of chaos itself, while the fourth young master's zither music turns sharp, murderous, and violent. Xiao does not fight like a brute. His zither is a Tao weapon, a medium for killing intent, a method of turning sound into pressure and pressure into destruction. Together, their attack is a statement. Even their teacher would not be so relaxed before them. But Qin Mu still does not rise. Behind him, the world tree sways. A Tao fruit manifests, spins, and releases a divine art dense with great Tao power. It meets the third young master's palm head-on. The river of chaos trembles. The destructive winds howl, and yet the battlefield quickly settles. Only then does Qin Mu's vertical eye begin to open. Within that eye is not a simple beam of light. It is chaos, purple radiance, and a hidden danger even Ling Xiao cannot ignore. The third young master understands the risk immediately. He retreats, claiming he is sparing Qin Mu out of respect for their teacher. But the fourth young master sees the truth. Ling Xiao did not leave out of mercy. He left because he sensed danger. This is one of the most important power scaling moments in the chapter. Qin Mu does not defeat Ling Xiao in a clean battle, but he forces an ancient young master of Miluo Palace to back away. In a story where reputation and face matter as much as strength, that is already a victory. Then Xiao reveals his own motive. He is not like Ling Xiao. He is not chasing endless rule over an unbreakable universe. His wish is painfully simple. He wants to overcome the calamity and recover the wife he lost. That makes him more sympathetic, but not less dangerous. A loving obsession can still become a demonic path. A noble grief can still crush innocent lives if the grieving person decides the world must pay the price for one resurrection. When Qin Mu's vertical eye finally releases its light, Xiao answers with the full force of his zither, but one string snaps. That broken string says more than a long battle could. Xiao has tested Qin Mu and discovered that this seventh young master is no longer someone who can be casually suppressed. So he withdraws, taking the remaining hall masters with him. Only after they leave does Qin Mu reveal the cost. The Tao fruit on the world tree splits and falls into the river of chaos. A new flower begins to bloom, nourished by chaotic qi. But this is not a free victory. Qin Mu has forced back the ancient powers, yet his own foundation has suffered damage. And as he stands beneath the world tree, his thoughts turn not to pride, but to eternal peace. That one question, how are they doing, brings the scale back down from cosmic warfare to human concern. Qin Mu can stand before prehistoric young masters, but his heart remains tied to the people he is trying to protect. Meanwhile, in the 17th Epoch's ultimate void, Heavenly Emperor, Vast Heaven realizes something has gone wrong. The 32 treasure halls do not respond. No Tao practitioners descend. The connection he expected to use has been severed. This is Qin Mu's real strategic victory. By blocking Miluo Palace's support from the past, he prevents Vast Heaven from turning the battlefield into an unfair execution ground. Without that borrowed power, Vast Heaven's confidence changes immediately. At the same time, Absolute Beginning tries to use his own 24 treasure halls to suppress Heavenly Venerate Yun and seize the great overarching heaven of one Qi. But those halls also fail to respond. His support has been cut off as well. Heavenly Venerate Yun sees the opening and attacks without hesitation. His sword pierces through Absolute Beginning's defenses in layer after layer, finally reaching the original stone at the center of Absolute Beginning's brow. Yun removes it and merges it with the piece already in his possession, restoring the complete original stone. This is not just a treasure upgrade. It is a massive shift in divine consciousness power. With the complete original stone, Yun's spiritual strength expands, and the Tao fruit of the Supreme Emperor's Tao tree erupts with tremendous power. For a moment, the balance of the battle tilts away from Vast Heaven and Absolute Beginning. Vast Heaven chooses retreat. He leaves with Absolute Beginning, but not because he has been permanently defeated. He has tested the opposition, measured their limits, and confirmed that the coming war will require something greater. Qin Mu understands this immediately. This battle was only a probe. The true decisive clash will come in 10 years, when the army of Heavenly Court arrives. That is why Qin Mu is not satisfied with temporary victory. Yun says he now has about 70% confidence against Absolute Beginning. But Qin Mu rejects that. In a normal battle, 70% might be enough. In a final war for the future of the universe, it is not. Qin Mu wants certainty. And this reveals another side of him. He may seem reckless, but his recklessness is often built on calculation. He knows vast heaven will not rely only on his own strength. If vast heaven cannot win directly, he may summon or tempt prehistoric Tao achievers from other eras. So Qin Mu makes another sudden decision. He heads for the abandoned land, while ordering Yun to drive away Madame Yuan Mu, who is entangled with heavenly Venerate Ling. And here the chapter shifts into one of its strangest and most important revelations. Deep within the great abyss of returning ruins, second young master Wuji of Miluo Palace rises from the chaotic sea, bound by thick Tao chains, circling the lotus leaves. She realizes something extraordinary about heavenly Venerate Ling. Ling is also connected to the future 17th Epoch. This explains why the Master of Miluo Palace valued her so highly. Ling's path, especially her grasp of difficult material transformation and her strange resistance to erasure, is not ordinary. She is a headache for Miluo Palace because she does not fit neatly into their control. Wuji, however, does not behave like a loyal guardian of Miluo Palace. She is imprisoned, she resents her own side, and more importantly, she enjoys chaos. Madame Yuan Mu recognizes that look at once because she understands it. Wuji has the eyes of someone who wants the world overturned, not stabilized. Instead of killing Ling, Wuji decides to help create her legend. With a strand of white hair, she sends heavenly Venerate Ling toward the Sixth Epoch, into a universe undergoing destruction. This is a terrifying exile, but also a strange opportunity. Ling is thrown into the calamity of another age, into a place where Tao practitioners struggle, Tao trees burn, and the chaos of cosmic collapse erases nearly everything. But Ling survives. That is the key. She has not achieved the Tao in the conventional sense, yet she resists the great destruction. Her path is abnormal, and because it is abnormal, even the usual rules of cosmic annihilation cannot easily claim her. Then, in the middle of the destruction, an ancient hall drifts past. A young man reaches out and pulls her aboard. He asks who she is, amazed that someone who has not attained the Tao can survive such a calamity. Ling gives her name, and the young man reveals the place. This is Tiandu. He is the master of Tiandu, and he intends to reopen heaven and earth, recreating the universe from chaos itself. That ending is enormous. Because the chapter begins with Qin Mu blocking ancient powers from interfering with the future, and ends with Ling being thrown into the deep past, meeting a figure who may reshape the meaning of creation, destruction, and cosmic rebirth. So what does this chapter truly establish? First, Qin Mu has become powerful enough to make the young masters of Miluo Palace hesitate. Second, Vast Heaven's attempt to borrow prehistoric power has been blocked, at least for now. Third, Yun has gained a stronger foundation against absolute beginning, but the coming war remains far from secure. And fourth, Heavenly Venerate Ling's legend is about to enter a completely new stage, one tied to Tiandu, the Sixth Epoch, and the mystery of remaking a universe from chaos. The board has changed. The past is no longer safely buried. The future is no longer defenseless. And somewhere in the ruins of a destroyed epoch, Ling has just stepped into a legend that even Miluo Palace could not ignore. But the real question is this: when the decisive war arrives in 10 years, will Qin Mu's preparations be enough? Or has Wuji just opened a door that even the young masters of Miluo Palace will regret? Before the battlefield even has time to cool, eternal peace reveals something terrifying. Not a sword, not a divine art, not even a single heavenly venerate. It reveals industry. And in a world where gods tear open the void and ghosts crawl out from Yudu, that may be the most frightening weapon of all. The crisis in the origin world ends almost as suddenly as it began. Ancestor God King withdraws, Heavenly Venerate Void also retreats. The great invasion collapses, but what remains is not victory. It is wreckage. The soldiers of Eternal Peace and Carefree Village count the dead, clear the ruins, and discover the truth behind the disaster. This was not just a frontal assault from Yudu. It was an invasion prepared through hidden wounds that had been left untreated for years. During the earlier war involving Yudu, demons, ghosts, and underworld beings had slipped into the heavens connected to the origin world. There, they built ghost cities in secret. At first, These ghost domains looked like small infections, ugly but manageable. But after Earth Count died, the natural order of souls collapsed. Wandering spirits had nowhere proper to go. Resentment gathered, ghost domains expanded. And when Yudu struck, those hidden ghost cities became gates. This is why the casualties were so severe. The enemy did not only come from outside the walls, it had already been waiting beneath the floorboards. Emperor Yanfeng reacts with fury and decisiveness. He orders a complete purge of every ghost city in the origin world and its affiliated heavens. This is not just revenge. This is statecraft. Eternal Peace understands that winning one battle means nothing if the tunnels used by the enemy are left open. Heavenly Venerate Yu and Qin Fengqing begin establishing a Yudu system within the origin world itself. Their goal is to guide stray souls, judge good and evil, and prevent the living world from being drowned by restless ghosts. The fallen soldiers are also gathered into Fengdu, becoming a ghost army, a grim but powerful force born from sacrifice, but King Yama sees the hidden danger. He warns that copying Earth Count's old function is not enough. If the origin world's Yudu keeps absorbing souls endlessly, then sooner or later it will become too heavy to control. Qin Fengqing may possess Earth Count's legacy, but he does not yet have Earth Count's full ancient might. Without a proper mechanism of reincarnation, this new Yudu could one day become another disaster. This is where Wentiang offers the key idea. If Heavenly Venerate Mu has touched the path of reincarnation, then a treasure can be built around that Tao. Such a treasure would allow souls to cycle through the myriad heavens, rewarding virtue, punishing evil, and preventing the underworld from becoming a sealed jar full of resentment. So Diyue goes to Eternal Peace and brings this concern to Emperor Yanfeng. And Emperor Yanfeng simply smiles, because Eternal Peace has already begun. This moment is important because it tells the true difference between Eternal Peace and the older eras. The founding emperor had heroes, High Emperor had glory, Dragonhan had dancient gods and primordial grandeur, but Eternal Peace has something different. Planning, factories, logistics, engineering, and a terrifying ability to turn Tao concepts into mass-produced war infrastructure. After the defeat in Yudu, Emperor Yanshu and Qin Mu had already ordered Eternal Peace's great manufacturing systems to prepare heavy divine weapons for the wars to come. Not one weapon, not one hidden trump card, an entire network of them. Emperor Yanfeng takes Diyue to the Golden River Manufacturing District. There, both sides of the river are packed with giant factories like iron dragons sleeping along the water. Ships move constantly. Some carry only a single component, because that one component is already too massive for ordinary vessels. And then Diyue sees it. A colossal circular divine weapon rising into the clouds. It is not merely large. It dwarfs the great divine weapon altars of Heavenly Court. Its structure is so vast that gods must send their primordial spirits out of their bodies just to help install the parts high in the sky. The components look enormous on the ground. Yet once placed into the wheel, they become tiny pieces of a much greater machine. This is the Six Paths Heavenly Wheel, a divine weapon designed to govern life, death, judgment, and reincarnation. In a normal Xianxia world, reincarnation is a heavenly law, mysterious and untouchable. But Eternal Peace is trying to build a machine that can interact with it. That is the spirit of this civilization. They do not kneel before the Tao. They study it, draw blueprints, forge runes into steel, and ask whether it can be improved. Emperor Yanfeng explains that once completed, this weapon will suppress the origin world's Yudu and prevent ghosts and gods from rising into chaos. More than that, it will boost Qin Fengqing's combat power to a terrifying level. With this weapon, Earth Count Qin Fengqing may be able to face Heavenly Venerate Void directly. That statement alone changes the power balance. Heavenly Venerate Void is not an ordinary enemy. She represents deep Yudu authority and ancient darkness. For Eternal Peace to design a weapon that allows Qin Fengqing to confront their means, they are no longer just defending themselves with courage. They are preparing to challenge the divine order with technology and cultivation combined. And then Emperor Yanfeng reveals the part that shakes Diyue even more. The Six Paths, Heavenly Wheel is not the only weapon. There are dozens of other heavy divine weapons under construction. Diyue immediately understands the implication. This is not just a military project. This is national strength. In her own era, the founding emperor ruled many heavens, yet building a single miracle like Carefree Village had nearly exhausted the empire's wealth. Eternal peace controls fewer heavens directly, but its trade web extends across thousands of worlds. Mines, commerce, factories, academies, craftsmen, Taoists, alchemists, formation masters, all of them are part of one living machine. That is Eternal Peace's real heavy weapon. Not metal, not runes. Civilization itself. Emperor Yanfeng continues the tour, and each stop reveals another layer of preparation. At Zhongling, DUA sees an improved divine weapon of creation. It resembles Heavenly Court's old creation machinery, but its structure has been altered by Qin Mu and Heavenly Venerate Ling. This is not imitation, this is refinement. It is meant to produce divine weapon bodies on the level of Heavenly Venerate Yu, and Lan Yuntian has already been measured and studied for the project. This detail is chilling. Eternal Peace is not only preparing weapons, it is preparing bodies, vessels, and future combat forms. They are thinking in terms of war that may span realms, races, souls, and even created flesh. Then comes a massive modular warship, designed by Wei Suifeng to counter the Heavenly River Navy. Its true strength lies in flexibility. It can unite into a peerless giant vessel or split apart into countless smaller ships. Against a rigid enemy fleet, that kind of modular structure is deadly. It means Eternal Peace is not trying to beat Heavenly Court by copying it. It is designing around specific weaknesses. DUA immediately asks to borrow 2 for Carefree Village, and this becomes almost comical in the best way. Every time Emperor Yanfeng shows her another weapon, she wants it. Not because she is greedy, but because she understands war. Carefree Village lacks industry now. Eternal Peace has become the arsenal that all allies must rely on. Next are Vermilion Bird war chariots, created to counter the Sun Guardian of Shuandu. Southern Emperor Vermilion Bird herself is involved in their design, which shows that Eternal Peace is integrating divine beings into its research system. Ancient gods are no longer just worshipped or feared, they are consulted like expert engineers. Then come Northern Emperor weapons, reshaped from the old Gourd-style thunder treasures into rune-forged divine gold artifacts. Green dragon treasures take the form of pagodas. White tiger treasures take the form of horns. Each weapon is not just symbolic. It is designed around elemental authority, battlefield role, and the power systems of the ancient gods. At Surging River, near the academies, the focus shifts from individual weapons to formations. Here, formation masters led by Divine Spear are building massive formation maps. Each map contains the power structure of a Heavenly Palace level technique. With enough divine power and enough gods coordinating inside it, a formation map can display the might of an Emperor's Throne expert. But the deeper revelation is even greater. Over 200 formation maps can combine into different Great Heavenly Court structures. In other words, Eternal Peace is trying to simulate high-end cultivation through collective organization. A single cultivator may need countless years to reach an unimaginable realm. But an army, if trained and arranged properly, might imitate part of that power through formation logic. This is one of the most important cultivation ideas in the chapter. Eternal Peace is democratizing divine power. It is turning techniques that once belonged only to peak experts into systems that armies can operate together. DUA asks the obvious question: with enough gods and devils, could these formations imitate the battle strength of a Heavenly Venerate? In theory, yes, but Emperor Yanfeng admits the limitation. Eternal Peace still does not have enough gods. Its development has been rapid, but compared with Heavenly Court's long accumulation, it is still young. This gives the chapter a grounded sense of strategy. Eternal Peace is not suddenly invincible. It has brilliant designs, but manpower remains a bottleneck. Naturally, DUA requests a complete set for Carefree Village. Then Emperor Yanfeng casually mentions cloud chariots equipped with sword pagodas. Each sword pagoda carries thousands of sword pills, and each pill hides countless swords. These weapons are meant to seal the sky and saturate the battlefield. Daiyue's answer is simple: the more, the better. At Li River, the tour turns from weapons to survival. Pill furnaces burn day and night. Medicine King Mu Yingxie and Fu Yuanqing oversee the refining of spirit medicines, healing pills, and poisons. This is another sign of real military maturity. Eternal Peace is not only asking how to kill, it is asking how to keep its soldiers alive, how to treat injuries, and how to make even wounded enemies vulnerable through poison. Diyue asks whether these poisons can kill gods and devils. Emperor Yanfeng's answer is practical and ruthless. In war, gods get injured too. Once a wound opens, poison can enter. That line reveals Eternal Peace's battlefield philosophy. No divine body is untouchable. No ancient title makes one immune to strategy. If a god can bleed, then a craftsman can design a way to exploit that wound. And still, there is more. Emperor Yanfeng even brings up the painting path, where the painting saint is working on geographical maps of mountains and rivers across the heavens. This suggests that Eternal Peace is preparing not only weapons, but intelligence, terrain control, logistics, and perhaps even spatial Dao tools for future campaigns. By this point, Diyue's shock is understandable. She is witnessing the rise of a civilization that has converted every school, every path, and every profession into part of the war effort. Meanwhile, the chapter shifts to a far more dangerous place. Above the sinkhole, 36 layers of void open, and Heavenly Venerate Yun appears with his great overarching heaven and Dao tree. Qin Mu has given him a task: rescue Heavenly Venerate Ling. But the moment Yun approaches the sinkhole, even his realm is threatened. The abyss pulls at him with terrifying force, almost dragging his great overarching heaven down with him. This is not an ordinary forbidden zone. It can devour the ultimate void. It threatens Dao achievers, Dao trees, and the very foundation of their transcendence. For a being like Yun to feel danger here tells us just how abnormal the sinkhole truly is. He notices traces of Ling's divine abilities near the abyss. That is important because Ling's path has always been connected to time, substance, and strange transformations that defy normal logic. If her traces remain here, then the sinkhole may not simply be a pit. It may be a place where Dao, void, and history have been twisted together. Yun prepares himself, draws upon his Dao fruit, and descends into the abyss. This is a quiet but powerful moment. While Eternal Peace builds weapons on a civilizational scale, Yun enters a place where even civilization may not help him. Some battles are fought with armies and factories. Others are fought alone, at the edge of existence. At the same time, the golden ship emerges from chaotic space. Dao Ancestor and Great Brahma guide it toward the origin world. On board are Buddhists, Taoists, and survivors who had helped preserve part of Eternal Peace's population in a small universe. Ming Emperor and Red Emperor are also present, looking toward the approaching worlds. This return matters because it signals that scattered forces are beginning to gather. The coming calamity is not a local war anymore. It is drawing in survivors, sages, emperors, and remnants of ancient eras. And then the chapter closes with High Emperor's ruins. Bai Kuer arrives with gods and devils from the High Emperor era, carrying Heavenly Venerate Yue's will. She asks Yi Shisheng whether High Emperor can still fight in Eternal Peace's coming calamity. Yi Shisheng's answer is full of grief. The era of High Emperor is already gone. The old emperors have become corpse demons. If they awaken, they may bring chaos rather than salvation. But then the coffins tremble. A sinister voice speaks from within an emperor's coffin, asking whether Yue has sent a decree. Baikir presents it. The coffin cracks open, and a large green hand reaches out to take the command. That final image is perfect Xianxia tension. Eternal Peace is gathering weapons of the future, but it may also need the dead powers of the past. The living are building divine machines. The ghosts are being organized into armies. Dao achievers are entering forbidden abysses. Ancient emperors who should have remained buried are beginning to stir. This chapter is not about one battle. It is about preparation before a storm. Eternal Peace has shown its arsenal, but the enemy has not yet revealed all its cards. And now, with the dead answering Yue's decree, we have to ask, when the final calamity arrives, will these ancient remnants become Eternal Peace's shield, or another disaster awakened too late to control? There are moments in Xianxia history when even death is not enough to silence a vow. A body may rot, a coffin may be sealed, a soul may vanish into the long river of time. But when the war drum of an age begins to thunder again, some heroes do not ask whether they are alive. They only ask where the battlefield is. This chapter opens with Bai Kuer standing before the coffins of the High Emperor era, and what rises from one of them is not a living sovereign, not a graceful immortal, not a clean legend polished by later generations. It is a corpse emperor. a dead ruler whose body has transformed into a corpse demon, chained and suppressed, so that his remaining obsession will not become a disaster for the world. This detail matters because the story is not presenting ancient heroes as flawless saints. It is showing us something harsher. Even the greatest defenders of an era can decay. Even righteous bones can become dangerous after death. And yet, beneath that corpse chi, beneath that bloodthirsty instinct, there is still a remnant of loyalty. When the decree of Celestial Venerate Yu is shown, the dead emperor recognizes it as the will of his master. That single recognition awakens more than memory. It awakens responsibility. From the coffins, the voices of ancient emperors begin to answer. They admit the truth plainly. They are dead. Their hearts no longer beat. Their blood should no longer flow. They have already paid the price in the wars of the past. But the High Emperor era was not some forgotten pile of dust. It was an age of heroes, an age that fought for the human race and for all postnatal beings. And now, when Longhan has its undying warriors, when Crimson Light, Founding Emperor, and Eternal Peace all have figures stepping into the calamity, how could the High Emperor era remain silent? This is the emotional core of the scene. The emperors are not returning because they crave glory. They are returning because unfinished duty has more power than death. Their bodies are ruined, their souls incomplete, their era long buried, but their conviction still has weight. The chains around the coffins shatter. Withered chi and blood stir again. Above the coffins, the heroic silhouettes of 9 emperors emerge like banners rising from a graveyard. To Baiquer, they declare that although many ancient emperors were completely destroyed and left no corpses behind, these 9 still have bodies preserved. So they will go in the place of the fallen. This is not merely a military reinforcement. Symbolically, it means the High Emperor era itself has climbed out of history. The past is refusing to abandon the future. They send Baiquer ahead to eternal peace with one message. Tell the emperors there that High Emperor has not disappeared. Even as dead men, they will crawl out from their tombs and fight again for the human race and for all postnatal creatures. Their junior brother, Yi Shisheng, will carry their coffins to war. What a terrifying and magnificent image that is. Not an army marching with flags, but coffins being carried to the battlefield. Not living generals polishing their armor, but dead emperors preparing to turn their own corpses into weapons. In wuxia terms, this is chivalry taken beyond life itself. In xianxia terms, this is obsession refined into Tao. But while the graves of High Emperor awaken, another battle of schemes unfolds in the great abyss of the ruins of End. Celestial Venerate Yun descends into that dangerous place, using his Tao tree and Tao fruit to withstand the terrifying forces of the ultimate void. Even for a top-level existence like him, the environment is deadly. The cold wind of the void can be resisted, but the hot wind of the great abyss erodes his power and even threatens the stability of his great Tao. This tells us the scale of the battlefield has changed. The war is no longer just armies clashing with divine weapons. It has reached the level where Tao practitioners, cosmic restrictions, and prehistoric powers are all moving on the chessboard. At the bottom, Yun finds Madame Yuan Mu trapped inside a white sphere formed from strands of hair. The image is strange but powerful. One of the most dangerous women in the world, sealed by something as delicate as hair, yet so absolute that even she cannot escape. Yun also sees the twin lotuses and the huge chained female face below, but he cannot find Celestial Venerate Ling. That absence immediately alarms him. Ling is not just another expert. She is one of Eternal Peace's supreme pillars, a being whose divine arts touch the impossible. If she is missing, Eternal Peace has lost more than a fighter. It has lost a strategic miracle. Inside the white-haired prison, Madame Yuan Mu and Empress Emperor are forced into cooperation. Yuan Mu offers to share control of the body if they escape together, and Empress agrees. Their method is the path of reincarnation, a divine art connected to Qin Mu. Yun instantly notices something important. He knows Qin Mu taught them this technique, but he also understands Qin Mu's personality. Qin Mu would not hand such a dangerous weapon to these 2 women without leaving a hidden flaw. This is one of the cleverest parts of the chapter. Qin Mu is not physically present in this scene, but his shadow dominates it. His technique becomes a trap, His foresight becomes a blade, and Yun becomes the one who understands how to use it. Madame Yuanmu and Empress Emperor combine their power and use reincarnation to cut open a path through the hair prison. For a moment, Yuanmu believes she has won. She immediately betrays Empress, refusing to surrender control of the body. That betrayal is completely in character. Yuanmu is charming, ruthless, and incapable of sincere trust. She makes alliances only as long as they serve her escape. But Yun has already been watching. He strikes with precision, targeting the reincarnation halo and activating the hidden weakness. Yuanmu is suppressed, and control of the body shifts to Empress Emperor. The mole between the brows changes, marking the change of master. Empress then reveals what happened to celestial Venerate Ling. Ling has been sent by the second young master of Miluo Palace into the prehistoric universe within the chaotic sea, supposedly to fulfill her unmatched reputation. This is a huge revelation. It removes Ling from the immediate battlefield and raises the danger around Miluo Palace. The young masters are not merely watching history. They are interfering with legendary figures directly, sending them into places beyond the current universe's normal order. Yun chooses to believe Empress, at least for the moment, because she has no reason to lie after he helped her suppress Yuanmu. When they leave the Great Abyss, Yun does not attack her. Instead, he gives her political advice, and this is where Yun's strategic mind shines. Empress wants to go to Absolute Beginning and support him against Celestial Emperor Hao. But Yun points out how foolish that would be. Absolute Beginning and Yuanmu betrayed her before. Returning to that old alliance would only repeat the same tragedy. Instead, Yun suggests that she use the path of reincarnation to disguise herself as Madame Yuanmu and return to the heavenly court. If she becomes Yuanmu in appearance, voice, and personality, Celestial Emperor Hao may not suspect the truth. This is not kindness. Yun openly admits the purpose. He wants Empress to become a hidden blade inside the heavenly court, creating chaos from within and helping eternal peace win the war. Empress understands this, yet she accepts. Their alliance is not built on trust. It is built on usefulness. That is often how high-level Xianxia politics works. Righteousness may move armies, but survival often depends on using enemies against enemies. Yun briefly considers killing her. His divine consciousness, great overarching heaven, appears behind her, and the Absolute Beginning Emperor Sword is ready to strike. But he stops. Why? Because eternal peace has already lost Ling from the board. If Yun kills Empress now and fails, he gains nothing. If he lets her go, she may become a disaster inside the enemy camp. Yun chooses the greater strategic value over immediate revenge. That restraint is what separates a true commander from a mere warrior. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Court's army advances along the Heavenly River with overwhelming scale. The expedition grows larger as it moves. Gods and devils from different heavens join the campaign. Rebel heavens are destroyed. Prisoners are taken as slaves for logistics. The Ancestor God King uses the power of Heavenly Duke to drive the Heavenly River itself, increasing the army's speed. The scene is meant to remind us of one brutal fact. Eternal peace may have powerful top-tier experts, but the Heavenly Court still possesses the terrifying foundation of 1,000,000 years. Their ships are not ordinary ships. Some carry divine weapons. Some are surrounded by suns and moons, creating day and night aboard them. Some drag entire heavenly palaces. Others transport mountains, rivers, heavenly gates, 9 prison platforms, and jade platforms, refining sacred lands into weapons of war. This is the Heavenly Court's greatest advantage. Eternal peace has innovation. Eternal peace has reform. Eternal peace has terrifying geniuses. But Heavenly Court has accumulated wealth, manpower, sacred grounds, ancient authority, and endless divine resources. The coming war is not balanced. It is brilliance against empire, reform against history, a young flame against a mountain of ancient iron. Celestial Emperor Hao returns to the Central Army with a dark mood. His clash with Qin Mu has shaken him. He has realized that Eternal Peace's peak battle strength is no longer weak compared to Heavenly Court's. This is a major psychological turning point. For a ruler like Hao, fear is dangerous. Qin Mu has become more than an opponent. He is becoming a shadow in Hao's heart, almost an inner demon. And once a cultivator at this level develops an inner demon, it can affect judgment, Tao heart, and future breakthroughs. So Hao chooses a ruthless solution. he decides to borrow power from the third and fourth young masters. When a report arrives that the Heavenly Lake Heavens have rebelled, Hao does not treat it as merely a political problem. He sees it as an offering. He orders Heavenly Venerate Shu to sacrifice the entire Heavenly Lake Heavens. Not punish, not suppress, sacrifice. That word changes everything. Hao plans to offer a whole heaven to the third young master in exchange for a Tao practitioner's support. This shows how far he is willing to go. To him, worlds, lives, and civilizations are bargaining chips on the altar of victory. And this is why the conflict between eternal peace and heavenly court is not simply a fight for territory. It is a clash of philosophies. Eternal peace's path is built on reform, survival, and opening possibilities for postnatal beings. Hao's path is built on hierarchy, domination, and using all things as fuel for his throne. As Hao relaxes, he convinces himself that Qin Mu will not become his inner demon again. He believes the day of crushing eternal peace is near. But the audience should be careful here. Whenever a tyrant says he has overcome fear by committing an even greater atrocity, that fear has not disappeared. It has only changed shape. And finally, the chapter shifts to the ultimate void's abandoned land, where Qin Mu stands before a massive stone tablet near a floating door. The tablet is made from chaos stone, nearly indestructible, and clearly connected to powers beyond ordinary cultivation. Qin Mu studies the writing on it, then does something only Qin Mu would dare to do. He breaks off a piece, then he eats it. This moment may look almost comedic at first, but it is actually very Qin Mu. His cultivation path has always been strange, experimental, and heaven-defying. Where others see a forbidden relic, Qin Mu sees nourishment. Where others fear chaos, he wonders whether it can be refined into primordial purple qi to restore his peak condition. That is his nature. He does not merely inherit systems. He devours them, studies them, transforms them, and turns danger into fuel. So this chapter ends with three forces moving at once. The dead emperors of High Emperor rise from their coffins. Empress Emperor returns toward Heavenly Court wearing the mask of Yuan Mu. Celestial Emperor Hao prepares to sacrifice an entire heaven for outside power. And Qin Mu, standing before chaos itself, begins to recover in the most outrageous way possible. The battlefield is no longer just ahead. It is beneath graves, inside enemy palaces, across the heavenly river, and even within the forbidden stones of the ultimate void. The question now is not whether war will come. The question is this: when the dead, the betrayed, the tyrants, and the heaven-defying all enter the same calamity, whose Tao heart will survive the storm? A stone was swallowed, a forbidden seal was questioned, and deep inside the silent waste of the ultimate void, Qin Mu stumbled upon a secret that should never have existed, because this was not merely a place where broken treasures drifted. This was a graveyard of eras. And hidden within that graveyard was a clue suggesting that an entire universe may have been opened by human hands. Qin Mu begins this moment with a very Qin Mu-like act. He bites into danger before fully understanding it. The chaos stone before him should have contained chaos qi. After all, when he once encountered Tai's chaos mine, the stone had held that primordial energy within it. Chaos qi was not ordinary spiritual power. It was closer to the raw breath before heaven and earth separated, the mist before laws became laws, the foundation before creation took shape. So when Qin Mu finds an obelisk made from chaos stone, he naturally assumes it must hide some trace of that ancient force. But after testing it in the most direct way possible, he discovers the truth. The stone is empty. Someone has already extracted the chaos qi from it. That single detail changes everything. This obelisk is not simply a strange relic drifting in the abandoned land. It is part of a seal. And not just any seal, but one written in primordial chaos Tao language, using primordial chaos runes powerful enough to suppress an enemy of Miluo Palace. Here, the chapter quietly raises its first major question. If the great young master of Miluo Palace created this seal, how could it be damaged? Qin Mu understands the weight of this better than anyone. The great young master is not a minor figure. His mastery of primordial chaos runes stands near the very peak, second only to the master of Miluo Palace. A seal left behind by such a being should not crumble simply because of the cold winds of the ultimate void. So if the obelisk and the broken door panel have been thrown out, that means part of the restriction has already failed. And if the seal failed, then something terrifying must be acting from the other side. Qin Mu's mind then turns to the material itself. Chaos stone is not common. One chaos mine could never provide enough stone to build countless obelisks. Yet Lan Yuqin had seen many of them beyond the door. This suggests something enormous. The great young master may have gathered chaos stone from multiple universes, stripping chaos mines across epochs, all to imprison one enemy. Think about that for a moment. In Xianxia terms, this is not just a prison. This is a universe-spanning suppression formation, a cage built from the bones of creation itself. Whoever was sealed inside had to be so dangerous that Miluo Palace used resources from more than one cosmic age to contain them. And Qin Mu, being Qin Mu, immediately considers taking the obelisk away. Unfortunately, the thing is far too long. When he tries to store it in his divine treasure, it would practically pierce through his brow like a ridiculous horn. Even in a moment of cosmic mystery, the story gives us this brief flash of humor. The grand heavenly venerate reduced to someone trying and failing to pocket an oversized forbidden pillar. Unable to take the obelisk, Qin Mu turns his attention to the rest of the abandoned land, and that is when the nightmare scenery begins. Floating through the void, he sees a gigantic head. Not a complete body, not a living person, just a massive head, raw with flesh but without skin, drifting through the waste and devouring discarded treasures. It is eating a broken golden book, and the book fights back with its own Tao writings, carving words into the head and blasting apart its flesh, but the head wins. It swallows the treasure, and its body becomes slightly more complete. This is a horrifying idea, but it also reveals the logic of the abandoned land. Things here are not dead in the normal sense. Tao bones, broken artifacts, severed heads, ruined ships, everything is trying to reclaim form, power, and meaning. They are leftovers from destroyed ages, struggling to stitch themselves back together with whatever they can find. When the head notices Qin Mu, it immediately charges toward him. To that thing, Qin Mu is not a person. He is fresh flesh. He is a treasure. Qin Mu prepares to defend himself using the door panel and his great blade, but before the monster reaches him, a broken ship is blown across the void by the cold wind and crashes into the head. The ship is jagged with splintered wood, and the head is caught upon it like prey on a hook. Then the situation becomes even stranger. On that broken vessel hangs the white Tao bone of a Tao practitioner. Even the great calamity of the universe has not erased it. Nailed to the ship, unable to move freely, this skeletal remnant still carries the dignity of someone who once touched the Tao. The skeleton reaches out, tears flesh from the monster head, and presses it onto its own bones. At once, the flesh crawls across the skeleton like something hungry to live again. This is one of the chapter's most unsettling images, but it is also thematically important. These beings are not truly resurrected. They are imitating life. Their Tao remains, their instincts remain, but their souls and purpose have been twisted into a desperate chase for physical completion. Soon, more Tao bones rush out from the broken ship's cabin. They swarm the head, ripping away its flesh and attaching it to themselves. For a brief moment, these ancient bones seem delighted, as if they have won back a piece of existence. Then the cold wind blows, the flesh scatters, all their effort vanishes, and the ship falls silent. This moment is both grotesque and tragic. These are not ordinary monsters. They may once have been exalted Tao practitioners, people who stood above worlds, people whose cultivation could survive the destruction of universes. Yet now they are trapped in a pathetic cycle, stealing flesh, losing flesh, repeating the same meaningless struggle in the void. Qin Mu laughs at them. That is a mistake. The head and the skeletons immediately turn toward him, and now the chase begins. The bones raise the torn sail of the broken ship and use the cold wind itself to pursue him. In another place, that wind is a force of annihilation. Here, these remnants have learned to ride it like sailors of the dead. The ship closes in, and the skeletons leap toward Qin Mu, eager to tear away his flesh and paste it onto their own bodies. Qin Mu has a serious problem. His magic power is limited in this place, so he cannot simply unleash overwhelming divine arts. He has to rely on his physical strength, his sword, and quick reactions. He nails one skeleton back to the ship with his calamity sword. He punches another onto the splintered wood. When the monster head leaps again, he smashes it down with the door panel. But the danger is real. These are Dao bones. They are absurdly hard, remnants that survived the universal calamity. If even one of them gets close enough, Qin Mu could be torn apart. This is what makes the Ultimate Void's abandoned land so dangerous. It does not only contain stronger enemies, it contains broken things that no longer follow normal rules. They cannot be understood as living, dead, artifact, corpse, or spirit. They are fragments of previous cosmic orders, and Qin Mu is walking through their junkyard. Then everything changes. Qin Mu's door panel suddenly crashes into something and stops. The skeleton ship, which had been chasing him with excitement, immediately turns away in terror. The bones scramble back into the cabin, shutting themselves inside. One skeleton, locked outside, beats the ship wall in panic. Another collapses before the cabin door like a doomed soul begging to be let in. At first, Qin Mu thinks they are afraid of him. Then he turns around, and he sees the ruins. Before him lies a shattered city, vast and ancient, resembling the capital of the ancestral court, but not identical to it. The layout is different. The structure is different. It is not Miluo Palace's jade capital, yet it once possessed a grandeur that could rival a great cosmic power. This discovery is massive. Qin Mu realizes that this may have been another faction, another civilization of Dao practitioners, another supreme force from a previous era, not Miluo Palace, but something comparable. And if the Dao bones on the broken ship fear these ruins, then whatever remains here must be even more frightening than the monsters outside. For Qin Mu, this is a temptation and a warning at the same time. He wants to explore. Of course he does. His curiosity is almost a cultivation path by itself. But he also remembers the war and eternal peace. He came here for a reason, to find the gate sealing Miluo Palace's enemy. If he wastes too much time, the battlefield outside may suffer. Then chaos chi appears within the ruins. That changes his calculation instantly. Qin Mu lacks chaos chi for cultivation. To him, this is not just mist. This is a treasure ground, a chance to strengthen himself at the deepest level. So he makes a compromise with himself. He will only enter briefly, gather some chaos chi, and leave if danger appears. Anyone who has followed Xianxia stories knows what that means. The moment a cultivator says, "I will only take a quick look," fate begins sharpening its blade. Qin Mu walks into the ruins carrying the door panel, but the chaos chi behaves strangely. It retreats from him as if it has awareness. No matter where he moves, the mist avoids his reach. When he tries to capture even a strand, he fails. Then he turns back. The path is gone. The ruins have swallowed his direction. This is where Qin Mu's unique advantage appears. His vertical eye opens at the center of his brow, allowing him to see through the chaos. Instead of panicking, he studies the hidden structure of the place and finds an ancient altar built from chaos stone. On that altar stands a small stone tablet. Beside it are two footprints. The writing on the tablet has been worn beyond direct reading, but Qin Mu can still infer its meaning from the rune structure, and the message points to something almost impossible. Tiandu opened the Seventh Epoch of the universe here. The Seventh Epoch opened here by someone. Qin Mu is shaken because the implication is heaven-defying. If this is true, then the Seventh Cosmic Age was not merely born naturally from the cycle of destruction and rebirth. It may have been deliberately opened, not by heaven, not by fate, not by the automatic turning of the universe, but by humans or beings close enough to be called human. This reframes the history of the cosmos. It suggests that the rise and fall of epochs may not be an untouchable law. It may be something certain beings learn to interfere with, shape, or even initiate. That is terrifying, because if an epoch can be opened by hand, then it can also be manipulated by ambition. Qin Mu steps forward and places his feet into the ancient footprints. At that instant, a thunderous sound erupts inside his mind, as though heaven and earth are being split open again. And that is where this chapter leaves us, with Qin Mu standing in the imprint of someone who may have helped begin an entire universe. So the question now is no longer simply what lies inside the abandoned land. The real question is this: if the Seventh Epoch was opened here, then who was Tiandu, and what did Qin Mu just awaken? Imagine standing at the very edge of creation, where chaos roils like molten metal, and the universe itself quivers under incomprehensible pressure. This was the vision that unfolded before Qin Mu, a scene so overwhelming it felt as though the apocalypse of the cosmos had arrived. The ultimate void had vanished, replaced by a seething chaos that consumed everything in its path. Heat and power pressed down on him, and yet amidst this tempest, faint islands of order shimmered. Miluo Palace, Jade Capital, the towering world tree, and the yawning sinkhole of the great abyss. Only a handful of Tao practitioners survived, guardians of what order remained. But then a figure emerged, a presence that twisted time and reality itself. Heavenly Venerate Ling. Qin Mu's mind reeled. This was no mere apparition. Ling had been his teacher, his ally, the one who had guided him in the formative years of Tao cultivation, and yet here she was, among the Tao practitioners of the Sixth Epoch. Time had become fluid. His vision had merged with that of Tiandu, letting him witness events from another's perspective, feeling the weight of the divine axe in hands that were both his and not his. A weapon that had cut through universes before, linked in lineage to the mighty Taiyi's axe, now surged with unimaginable potential in the hands of those shaping creation itself. And then it happened. Chaos split open. Tao practitioners, each a universe unto themselves, combined their will, their skills, their divine arts to birth a new reality. Qin Mu watched, heart pounding, as they unleashed the raw forces of creation, the birth of a universe, not as legend or theory, but as a tangible, unfolding reality. Boundless energy, light, and heat expanded outward. For a fleeting moment, there was no matter, only primordial qi, vibrating with the promise of all things to come. Here, the mechanics of cultivation revealed themselves in full glory. The innate Taos of Tai Yi and Tai Chu emerged, forming the skeleton of the cosmos. Void pushed the universe to expand, stars and galaxies began their eternal dance, and the path of Tai Chi evolved, setting the framework for life, death, and divine law. Qin Mu, standing upon the sacrificial altar, absorbed it all, not as an observer, but as a participant in the architecture of heaven and earth. The lesson was profound. To cultivate is not merely to gather power or mastery over technique, it is to witness and understand the rhythm of creation itself. Every swing of the axe, every Tao practitioner's exertion, was a study in cosmic orchestration. It deepened his understanding of the five suns, enhanced his Tao realm Abhijna, and allowed his divine arts to evolve. His calamity sword became more than a weapon. It became a living expression of the Tao, slicing through the fabric of chaos, embodying a path beyond skill, beyond art. He named it in thought, Heaven Opening, Heaven Chapter, a name heavy with the weight of both achievement and revelation. Yet, even in this transcendence, doubts lingered. Taiyi had once mourned his abandonment of the path. Was this return truly a reclamation, or something altogether different? The emotional depth of cultivation in this world is often underplayed. Power alone is hollow without comprehension, without alignment of heart and Tao. And as Qin Mu attempted to step beyond the ruins, the heavenly capital shifted. What had appeared eternal and resplendent began to crumble, reminding him that even the greatest of creations is impermanent, shaped by forces both conscious and unseen. When he awoke on the sacrificial altar, the ruins were still around him. The chaos had receded, leaving a reflective calm. And yet, a single question burned in his mind. Why had the Master of Miluo Palace slain the Master of Heaven Capital? Why such a dramatic intervention in the delicate balance of epochs? The answer, it seemed, lay not in vengeance or malice, but in the grand design of the 10 heavenly venerates, a cosmic recalibration whose scale would surpass any mortal expectation. So, what can we take from this? Qin Mu's experience is a masterclass in understanding the scale of Tao cultivation, not merely as power accumulation, but as the living comprehension of creation, destruction, and rebirth. Witnessing the birth of a universe reshapes the soul, expands the mind, and sets the stage for conflicts and revelations that transcend time itself. And perhaps the most tantalizing mystery remains: the true purpose of the heavenly capital and the secrets behind the towering figures who dare to open worlds.